77. Grey is the Colour of Hope, Part 1 by Gaynor. December the 9th, 2023. I didn't think I had any contributions or collaborations or whatever in me, but I felt such an honour being number 11 in GANTOB's first book. What I do know is Bill Drummond Grey. I first encountered it in 2012. I'm being vague, not deliberately, but because memory tricks you, and sometimes when we remember, we embellish things. However, it doesn't really matter when you aren't sharing your memory, but now I am. November 2023. I received some GANTOB pamphlets in the post to my joy whilst working from home. Taking a swift break of allocated time, I gave them my attention. GANTOB pamphlet X13, Paint Them Black, jumped out at me because it was yellow. I'm very drawn to yellow. It's a very glowing, pulsating salvation of a colour full of rebirths, growths and new starts. I had a load of therapy in the old days and yellow chose me as a safe space and colour. On reading the pamphlet, I had some thoughts about Bill Drummond's affair with paint. I too love a bit of paint, it soothes the soul. Bill being an artist and infamously offering 1,000 tins of grey paint for sale. I wondered what happened to them. GANTOB mentions a fan blog saying Bill produced and manufactured the paint in the mid-90s. The paint was intended to cover anything the buyer found morally or aesthetically offensive, promoting vandalism. Or was it? What if when you are covering up something offensive to your eyes, you're making it beautiful or even just bearable, even if only to yourself? Where are these tins of paint? Knocked over in a shed getting rusty, under the stairs getting a skin on them. I don't know. Who knows? Does anybody buy any? I digress. I've seen one of those tins of paint. Stood within breathing distance. Stood within holding distance. Every day for 3 months while invigilating at the Liverpool Art Prize in 2012, I was drawn to a particular artist's work. This was Alan Dunn. I breathed in his work, in my nostrils and in my pores. I couldn't get enough. I loved Alan's space in the gallery. It encapsulated everything I love. Music, records, CDs, cassette tapes, art and of course Bill's tin of paint. The shade was Drummond's International Grey. The cassette tapes were titled Grey is the Colour of Hope. Grey is the Colour of Hope. 78. Grey is the Colour of Hope, Part 2 by Gaynor, December the 10th, 2023. Grey is not flat, cold and shadowless like black. It does not engulf and cover or swamp. Grey has tone. There's perspective, warmth, movement and light. Grey had hope. Why did this resonate with me so much? I'd been stuck, trapped, engulfed in black before with no music and no art back in the olden times. Grey allowed me to wake up and escape. It was a way out. Grey is the colour of hope. Every day I stood in front of that tin of International Grey paint by Bill Drummond. I was just so in love with the idea that grey could wipe out the offensive and beauty could be had everywhere at your own whim. I loved it was actually a tin of paint. I used to fantasise about liberating it and taking it down to B&Q and watching people mull it over. It was perfect. It's not a mock-up pretend imposture of a tin. There were no shoddy paper labels. Care, attention to detail and planning had gone into that tin of International Grey. I pondered, did Bill say to Alan in his Scottish lilt, hey Alan, this grey would be perfect for you, do you want to borrow it? Or was it an actual collaboration? Had Alan previously bought this a time ago? Who could I ask? I was only a brief acquaintance of the benefactor, so I never did. The International Grey paint is an enigma I've seen. International Grey gave me hope. International Grey gave me my art back. International Grey is the colour of hope.